Welcome everyone to our first ever live episode of the Town Social, episode 44. My name's Nick Barlow. With me tonight, Gaz, Killer, Steve, and well, let's get straight into it, shall we? Blackburn away after the really boring, turgid performance against Plymouth at home. Not good enough, Kev said, and we brought in another two signings, didn't we? Healey, Healey Balker, and there were a bit of optimism surrounding the Blackburn game. Blackburn are on absolutely turgid form, haven't won in 6. Fans getting on the back, struggling. And we went there thinking, do you know what? We've got a couple of new players now. The squad's starting to bulk out a little bit. Let's go there and take the game to them. And then, of course, in typical Town fashion, it took, 6 minutes, 7 minutes for all that optimism to disintegrate. Let's get into the game. Obviously, the first talking point was a Blackburn goal. Poor Johnny Hogg goes to play a pass right, just doesn't look over his shoulder. The pass is under hit. Adam Wharton, to be fair, the guy gambles. It's a good run. It's a decent finish, to be fair, into the far corner. But Johnny Hogg won't want to see that again, will he? Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I think I felt a bit sorry for him. Really, it was. Well, we seem to be playing a few of these wibbly wobbly, bibbly bobbly passes. He was under hit anyway, so I'm not entirely sure where the ball was going when Hogg put it across. But you have to give Wharton his due. I thought he strode onto it and kept his head and finished it early doors. And of course, as we all know, once we go a goal down, we're in big trouble, aren't we? We don't have to come back. I think the Blackburn commentators quoted the start, and it was absolutely horrendous. Is it 30 odd games? I think since we last won when we've gone behind first.
Yeah, it's something like that, mate. It's when you don't score goals, you don't come back, do you? So, that's the thing. I mean, I said the stats before, didn't I? That we scored 2 goals or more 3 times in 22 games. So, we've only kept 3 clean sheets in 22. So the stats tell you that when we go a goal down, the chances are we ain't coming back to win that game. And so, the goal goes in and immediately everyone's heads drop, don't they? And fair play, the players, they kept going, got back into the game. It's a Sorba. It's a really good ball in from the corner. Whips it in with pace. Healey, our talisman, should play up front, shouldn't he? Gets his head on it. Great glancing header into the far corner for 1-1. Corner was so good that we didn't deploy that method again for any of the other corners. There's some bizarre in-game management from the players. Blackburn really susceptible by all accounts at set pieces. I tried to look to see how many they'd actually conceded from set pieces, and I couldn't find it, but they are very susceptible, and it showed. Their lack of height in the box. Brilliant ball whipped in and a great equaliser, and then you're thinking, right, lads, come on, let's get into them. And I think, were we fortunate not to concede a penalty? Spencer tangles with Gallagher in the box. I've seen him given. I've seen him not. Art was in my mouth a little bit, but I think it was a bit soft, really. But then Karoma wins the ball on the counter. Brilliant run, wide right, drags 3 players towards him, gets into the box, unselfishly lays it off to Jack Radoni, who's made a great run into the box. And all he has to do is put his laces through it, smash it. Yes, it's on his weaker foot, but just smash it into the far corner. We're going at 2-1. All the momentum's with Town. And what does he do? Tries to side foot it, goes wide, and you just think, oh no. And then we're going our time, the battle, but in truth, like, did we create that much second half? We had 2. No, go on, mate. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say that I was just going to jump in and sort of say it was a disappointing general performance all round again. Okay, we scored a good goal from a set piece, as you said, and then didn't deploy that tactic again, which, as you say, is quite amazing to say that Elliott's got, 8 goals this season. You have to think about how many points he's actually won for us, and not just by scoring goals, but also tackles at the other end of the pitch. So, it was a great goal that we scored, but then we just don't capitalise on it. And it was a rerun of the Plymouth game. You get chances, and then the limited chances that we do get, we just don't take them. And as much as I've kind of liked Jack Redoni and praised him this season for some of the things that he has done, it's just that final bit of quality on the end. And he just, when the big moments come, he hasn't been able to find the quality that he needs to score. And the position that he's in, we need a player like him scoring a few goals, and it hasn't come yet. I also think David Kasumu should have done better with his chance in the second half. So I was very disappointed. I think, it's against the Blackburn side that are no great shakes. They've got no confidence at the minute. There's a lot of trouble from what I understand behind the scenes there. Not everybody's happy. And, they've got Smodricks and they've got Gallagher. But really, have they got much else? Not a lot. Yes, they're probably better on the ball than we are. And I think Kevin said that basically in his video. But I think we should have done far better. And it was a game that I feel, particularly with the ones that are coming up after these next two, that we needed to go and win. I said that out of the 4 games, Plymouth, Blackburn, QPR and Sheff Wednesday, I think Moore needed to get 7 points. Well, he's got 2 so far. So let's
You're
see.
generous, Steve. I said we needed 9, and I thought we were talking about Redoni. We might come back to this later, I guess. But 2 years now, people have been saying, "Oh, he just needs to score a few goals. He needs to score a few goals," and he just hasn't added it to his game, and he's in danger of becoming another one of these lads we signed with bags and bags of potential and never actually fulfills it for me, Redoni, because that miss was criminal, and that was the turning point of the game. He bags that away, and then we're not losing that game, are we?
No, I agree with you, but I'd also say that unlike some of the other players that we've had in the past, he does get us up the pitch and has got some quality about him. I'm not saying it's all there, but I don't think he's one of the worst performers that we've had this season by far. That's just my general consensus, really. But I agree with you guys. It would be great if we'd have got 9 points. I allowed him a loss at Blackburn, a draw at Plymouth, and then the other 2 to be wins. But I just don't see it's going to happen. I know we'll get onto it later, but I don't even think we'll get 5 points as it stands.
I think, look, going into this game, we've only played him a few weeks ago, and we comfortably beat him, right? And we look like a solid team. I think going into the game yesterday, I ate a back 5. Well, again, we're going to talk about that later on. I just don't think you can dominate games playing that way. I think there's inherent problems with that, again, which we'll come on to in a bit. But I kind of accept it because of how we played him a few weeks ago, and okay, right, we'll go with the same kind of system. But they're going to be prepared for the style we're playing because last time we played him, right? So I can accept the first half as it was. Johnny Ogg's pass is awful. He's coming to a point in his career, I think, where we've got to start talking about, and we will, if he's fit enough or fast enough for that role anymore. Especially in the back 5, when you've got 3 central defenders as well that are sitting pretty deep, and you have fullbacks that aren't wing backs that aren't necessarily as advanced or as experienced. There's other fullbacks we've had in our team over the last few years, like Pippa and Harry Toffolo. Because you ask a lot from him in a back 5. The problem I have is that the first half, to me, Healey does what he does. He gets us back into it with his 8th goal, I think it is, of the season, which is something phenomenal for a centre-back. And like you say, it's come from a corner. We were synonymously good at corners up until this year when we brought in a specialist set-piece coach by the sound of it, and it kind of didn't work too well. And if that's back in our arsenal now, then great, fantastic. But to me, I can kind of stomach what happened up until half-time. Blackburn have gone into this game with the 23rd or 24th worst form over the last 6 games. We could not be going to them at a better time. They need to get a result. They know they can't sit back. The manager's under pressure. The home fans are going to get on the back. It's perfect for us. And that first half, we're pretty tight. And Johnny Ogg aside, if his mistake's not there, I think we would have gone in deservedly 1-0 up. And maybe 2, because like you say, Redoni's chance was good. It is a hard finish. I think everyone's taking it a little bit too easy there. The ball's come from behind him on his weaker foot, and he's taken it first time. I think he should have actually stopped, trapped it, and then tried to put it in. I think it is a very difficult finish, that, especially when he seems to be a bit of a streaky player as well, Redoni. Before Warnock came and he wasn't great, was he? Then all of a sudden he found his feet and he looked a different player. He's been out a little bit since then, and he's not really caught back in. But the system is a little bit different. It might not be exactly what he needs, but I thought he was overall quite good yesterday. But again, it's all right going to half-time playing like that, and then second half, if Neil Warnock's in charge, you look for the weaknesses, you make adjustments, and then you push on in the second half, because he'd have known the urgency required to get 3 points yesterday. These are an easy set of fixtures. There's no easy games, but they're the easier fixtures we could have, right? We've got to take maximum points from some of these games, because from here on, the games only get tougher. The thing is, we didn't really, in my opinion, have a go in that second half. Okay, chances came our way, but they're not always going to go in. And if you just dictate play a little bit better and overcommit, as I'd have done yesterday, change it with the formation change in that second half to really push upfield and press, to see if you can get Blackburn to collapse in a nervy fixture, I think we'd have done much better. I think we'd have had more chances and would have come away with the 3 points. And now I'm a big advocate that our squad up until now has been too weak to play that way. But when you go out and make 4 statement signings like we have, okay, not everyone's available at the moment, you kind of have to imprint a different kind of style. Or that's my opinion on it. And we didn't. It's like, we're just, yeah, right, we'll take this point and move on. But taking these points weren't lost, so what? But you can't win by focusing on not losing in this division. You have to show some sort of impetus. And yesterday, I just didn't see it. And I've tried to give Darren Moore as much belief as I can, and thinking, right, his squad's not right. He's got to try and play defensive and counter attack and break fast. I get it. And yesterday it did nearly get us the win, because we did get chances on the break again. But ultimately we didn't, and we weren't going to create chances any other way. And ultimately the game kind of petered out without us really having a go. And that's, obviously, we're not happy with it. I don't think any of us on here. It seems pretty obvious no other fans are happy with it. And Kevin Nagle's obviously not happy with it and all. It's just I couldn't believe we didn't have a go. I don't know. I just kind of just thought game would come to us.
After the game, there was quite a bit on social media of people saying we can't blame Moore for that performance. Saying Radoni missed a chance, keeper made a good save, Kasuma should have scored. I'm playing devil's advocate here, by the way, because my view. I felt for Darren Moore, and he lost me last week, because he didn't stick. He had a choice of sticking and twisting and having a real go to win that game last week. Plymouth were there for the taking, and he chose to stick, and it happened again, and in his interview.
It makes sense, guys. Some of the stuff he made yesterday, like Joe McClemont's tweeted in regards to Sorba Thomas. Why is he playing one week in front 3 or front 2, and the next minute he's in a back 5? There seems to be no pattern. I agree entirely. There seems to be no real pattern to how he's picking his team. And yesterday, I just kind of thought it'd start, it'd finally begin. And I think that's kind of the feeling everybody missed out on. And that kind of just gave everyone a bit of a flat, at the full-time whistle, everyone's really flat.
Well, he had to play Thomas up top with Karoma for the last couple of games, because literally we were down to us 4 playing up front for us, weren't we? With the supposed injuries that we've got. But I do agree in that he does have this tendency to pick weird, like he picks a certain formation, which is five at the back, but then he puts people in weird places. His tactics are very strange and conservative. And like in moments we're free, we try to be free flowing and passing, and then at other moments we're just hoofing it to absolutely anybody, trying to get it out wide as quick as possible. There's no actual plan, which I agree with you. But the other thing I'd say is that he doesn't know how to change a game. So, for instance, against Plymouth, I don't even think he knew what subs that he wanted to do. I think he just chucked anybody on that he could, because, there was no... I mean, he talks about these planned subs, which does my absolute head in. Like, I don't understand how you can run a football club and have planned subs at particular times. It just doesn't work. You have to go with the flow of the game, to feel the game, feel the emotion of the game, of how it's going to change it. And he doesn't. I don't think he does that. He's very robotic.
Steve, I'd go even further there, Steve. Steve, I'd go further in that Neil Warnock changed games for the better every time. We never looked worse when he made his adjustments. But when Moore makes his substitutions, we kind of fall apart. I might be wrong here, but how many games have we changed formation or changed personnel late, and it's totally changed the outcome of the game unless I must be missing one or two. We must have done it at some point.
I was convinced when I saw the lineup here and we were going 4-2-3-1. I was absolutely astounded when we went 5 at the back with Thomas playing wing back. the team was set up to play 4-2-3-1 yesterday. And get Thomas where he's best, which is, and I think in the last 15 minutes when they changed their wing back for a lad who's more of a winger at their left wing back, Thomas came right into the game for 15, 20 minutes.
If you look at our squad, I think we suit a 4-3-3 the best, with Karoma and Thomas on the wings, with a natural centre forward up top, which I think we've got now in Radulovic and Healey. Also, Healey can play sort of as one of the wide men as well. And then you've got your three midfielders of whatever makeup you want that to be. But just this constant thing about 5 at the back and putting people like Brodie Spencer at left centre back. I thought he did all right, by the way, but he's not a left centre back in his entire life.
No, we're shoehorning, aren't we? It's so one dimensional. We have plan A, and if plan A doesn't work, we keep going with plan A. And then if it fails, we try plan A next game and see if it changes. He's rigid to this 5-3-2 system, and there's nothing in game. The mark of a good manager or coach to me is you can see what they're trying to do. So like Wagner came in, we weren't necessarily winning games at the beginning, but you could at least see on the pitch the ideas and what we're trying to do. Same when Carlos came in, and with Warnock, you can see his in-game tactics and sussing. But can anyone honestly say after 22 games what's our identity? Have we improved in the style of play? Do we know what style of play we're playing? What's the plan? Because I'm looking at that first game, that Coventry game, to now, I don't see any kind of improvement whatsoever in terms of the performance and what we're trying to do. And 22 games is a lot. Is a lot of games to get your ideas across. It's so easy. It's so predictable for us to know how we're playing. Basically, we just sit in a block and hit on the counter, and that's all. That's it. That's all we do. And every team's works us out easily, and we just seem to we really struggle to adapt. He just doesn't adapt in games. He doesn't see the weakness of the opposition and change it. It's just continuous. And the caveat obviously is the squad. And you look at the bench in some of the games, and God, it's probably the worst bench we've ever had. But at some point, you've got to gamble, and we just haven't been brave enough. He lost it at the Plymouth game for me. Like I tried to give him as much time as I could because he's a nice bloke, and it has been hard with the squad. But that second half against Plymouth were just disgusting. There was no appetite there to grasp the game by the scruff of the neck and go out and get the 3 points. It was pass it to me, to you, backwards, sideways, backwards. Just no energy, no intensity, no one trying to mix things up, do anything different. Shove Ellick up top for last 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just go along into the box. Just try something different. But the crowd are screaming at them, go on, get it, and there's nothing. And our championship future is hanging by a thread here, because I tell you now, like after these couple of games, you look at the fixtures coming up, and I can't see where our win's coming from in those games. I mean, we've got Southampton away, Sunderland at home, Hull at home, Watford away, Leeds at home, Cardiff away. I mean, how many points are we talking there? 3, 4?
0.
If we're lucky?
0 with Moore in charge.
If we can't beat these two teams, what are we doing against? I mean, Leeds will absolutely steamroll us.
Well, he lost it. I lost it with him at Leeds away, if I'm being completely honest. Maybe not totally, but how he could play Edwards for longer than 5 minutes in that game, and I know we're harping back a bit now, but I'm registered blind, and even I could tell that Edwards was not good enough to play in that game against Somerville. So our professional football manager at the second highest level of English football couldn't see it. I'll never know. But yeah, I don't know anymore. It's apart from Fotheringham, it's probably the second manager where I don't actually know where we go from here. Well, I do. We sack him. Yeah.
I mean, what would you guys do with the formation? I mean, we touched on it already, I guess, but you touched on Hoggy as well. I mean, what a great servant he's been. But he's my age. Do you know what I mean? Like, at some point, we're going to have to start phasing him out. Gaz is looking puzzled there. He's 35.
Are you sure you're way older than him, Nick? I'm not having that.
Oh, I get stuff, mate. Yeah. But at some point, as good a servant as he's been, we're going to have to start looking into the future. And yeah, he's great to have around the team. His leadership abilities are unquestionable. He's picked for a reason, but this is the time now to start phasing him out. In my opinion, what do you guys think? Do you think we need to stick with him or not? Because at the moment, I just think his performances haven't been great.
I think at this point, I am the same age as Johnny Ogg. My legs are even worse than his. But at this point, I think the legend of Johnny Ogg is better than the actual player that Johnny Ogg is at the moment. I think age comes to us all, and midfielders all of a sudden fall off a bit of a cliff. And it's sometimes hard to see it, but eventually they slow down a little bit. They make a few mistakes. It's the speed, it's the transition, it's the ability to look up quickly to see if the pass is on or not. And that one, so I don't know. Johnny Ogg's never been the best when he's got his back to the opponent's goal. He's never been the best. This isn't the first time it's happened, but I feel, especially when we have a back five, when you've got Johnny Ogg sitting deep and you don't progress very much, it's like playing with the back six nearly some weeks. It's really not a system for me where Johnny Ogg can fit it if Moore's going to continue with that. And to be honest, I look at Alex Matos and even David Kasuma who offer similar traits, maybe not the leadership trait, but then we have other leaders in the team, such as Pearson, not Pearson, Lees and Hellick. Well, they look like obviously we don't know unless you play, but I think we've got to find a new leader because I think it's sometimes when we're in possession, it's like playing with 10 men, and we don't have that luxury when we can't create enough chances for ourselves. And I know everyone loves Johnny Ogg. I get it. I love Johnny Ogg, but again, when you're at 35, 36, he's not going to be here forever, and it could be now. Maybe he's past it. I don't know, but I just think even the system we're playing doesn't suit what he offers us. He's just not quick enough. He's just not into the tackles as quick as Alex Matos is. Quite recklessly, Alex Matos, obviously. But I think we've got other options available to us now. Because look at your centre midfielders that we've got. Ben Wiles, who I really like. I know a lot of people don't, but I think he does a lot off the ball. He's a bit of an enabler. His work allows other people to do other things. Radoni, you've got Kasumu, and Alex Matos. I don't think you need Johnny Ogg in there, especially when you've got Karoma, Sorba Thomas, Delano's going to be back pretty soon as wingers. So then you're trying to, all of a sudden, we've gone from a squad where we have no options to, do we fit Johnny Ogg in? Is he still offering enough today to be in? And I think seeing what he offered on Saturday, especially in that second half, I don't think he's going to be our stonewall defensive midfielder for much longer.
He's the ultimate professional though in Ian, and I think that's why he always remains the first name on the team sheet for a lot of these managers that we've had in, because we've had a lot of managers, haven't we? Let's be fair. And every single one of them picked Jonathan Ogg. And I remember you and me having a conversation. Thanks, Greg. That's really useful. By the way, talking about you being young, Nick, how young does Greg look on that picture? That must have been a long time ago, Greg, that picture. But, when we were talking, you and I had a conversation here about when Carlos Corberán was the manager, about how Jonathan's time was up, about he looked like he was on his way out and he probably wouldn't. And here we are, 3 seasons later, and he's still an absolute stalwart of that team. There's still a man that gets on the pitch.
Like that, don't do me like that. That is throwing me under a bus trying to say I said the same thing 3 years ago. And
it's true, it is.
It was. But then since then we've played football that we didn't have many options, and he kind of had to. But I think now it's a bit different.
I think the thing with Hoggy is you go back to I know it's a couple of years ago now, don't get me wrong, but you go back to the Premier League years where, he would slot in between two centre-backs, take the ball off them and drive everybody forward. He can't do that in this system because he's having to constantly make sure that the two other centre midfielders that's with him are actually doing their own jobs, which sometimes they don't do. And I think that's why he gets caught on the ball, because he's having to do so much in this team that's limited with leaders. Warnock said it when he first came in. It's clear to see that that's still the case. And we haven't replaced any lead. We haven't. I don't think that the players that we've brought in are necessarily leaders. I mean, that might be a bit of a harsh comment, but the best football that Johnny Ogg played was when he got the ball off two centre backs and he could slip in there, and he had one job, and he did that one job very effectively. And I just think if you look at his game now, he's having to pull passes out of his backside that he's never really been able to do it anyway. I always love the fact that, you know, who Johnny Hoggy is. I think that he's a legend of the club. What I don't want to happen, and I think it'd be really sad if it did, is the way that Peter Clark was shoved out the club, and, you know, everybody said that he was too old, and, you know, we just casted him aside, and that was it. And I think that would be sad. I think we've had a habit of doing that in the past, and I don't think that's right. Yes, obviously personal pride will come into it, and he'll probably believe he can play still. He probably thinks he can play for the next 10 years. You know, that's how footballers' mentalities are. But also, he has to understand that the club is moving forward. It wants to try and move in an upward trajectory. And maybe he has to play a more off-field role than on-field role now. But I think
with Johnny Hogg, I think the problem actually is not necessarily off the ball. Off the ball, he's good. We know he's good. But when we attack like we've been doing this year, it's got to be so quick in transition, and I don't think that is there anymore. I think off the ball, yeah, he's fine. In defence, it's absolutely fine. But chasing games, trying to chase those 3 points, you need more. And not that it's ever been his game, really. I just think it's less his game now, and it really does show. And maybe he's right for the first 60 minutes, but then when you're chasing game, then you change it. But we've not even seen that under Darren Moore, have we? That's kind of the problem. It's not necessarily Johnny Hogg's fault, but there's parts of games where he's not necessary anymore, but he still seems a bit terrified of taking him off. And yeah. I genuinely think that has cost us points this season.
It's too defensive. You know, Johnny Hogg, defensive midfielder. Kasumu, defensive midfielder. Matos, defensive midfielder. Wiles, box to box, but with defensive midfielder. It's too defensive. It's too defensive, and I think Matos would play that role. I think he's more dynamic, and yeah, he would make the odd mistake, but he's tenacious, he'll win the ball. I still think we need, in the transfer window, a midfielder that can pass a ball, that can thread a ball through, that can create things. I still think we're short in that department, because I think I think our midfielders are far too defensively minded, and that's why we're not creating enough chances. But for me, I would love Johnny Hogg to stay around. I'd love him to go into some sort of coaching role if that's what he wanted to do. I think he's great to have around, and his experience and talking, particularly these younger players, bringing them on. I think what he brings to the club has been outstanding. But, you know, we are getting to that point now where it's going to either have to be the club or his decision to step back. And, you know, even if he just plays, you know, 10, 15 games a season, but I don't think it's fair to him to be playing him every game either, because he's going to get more injuries, and, you know, like Ian said, we're not in a position where we need to do that. We don't need to rely on him every single game like what we used to do. We've got younger players that can fulfil that role pretty well.
I know that you said, Ian, you've been impressed with Ben Wiles. I have to say I've had the opposite view. I know that, you know, you say he does a lot off the ball, and I think that's great. But I expected him to come here and being able to be better on the ball than what he has been. And also, I know he's had his injuries and not played a lot of football, but I think even now, you know, he's played a bit of football for us now this season, and he still don't look fit. I mean, he just naturally doesn't seem to be able to get past 50 minutes on a football pitch.
I think that's pretty harsh, Steve. I think he does so much running to cover the likes of Hogg. Honestly, he goes left to right. If you see him, the amount of work he puts in, I think what I like about him is
when he gets the ball, does he? He don't do
what he does on the ball. What he has managed to do for me so far. And honestly, if you have a look at how many points per game, I'm going to work this out for next week, because I've seen it somewhere. I've said it a lot, but I need to work it out. But when he's in the team, our points per game, I think, is much greater than when he's not in the team, right? I think he does influence the way we play more than most people understand. But the problem is with centre midfielders, that is the problem. It's really hard because the assists aren't really there. He kind of makes a pass to somebody else who makes the assist, and then the goal goes in. See, what he does is he gets the ball and he transitions quick, man. He gets the ball and he just turns and goes. And he takes that first 15, 20 yards and then has a look. And I think the problem we have with him, and why he hasn't looked exactly what we expected to get from him, is there's no one else with him. When he gets it, turns and runs forward, we have next to no midfield. The way we play is in defence, you've got your first press, and then we just like compact straight away. We go straight back and we just let them run through midfield until we've got our back five and Johnny Hogg in front of it. And then we start engaging. And the amount of work that is for a midfield to run back and forth. And that's why I just want to see the end of this back five, because I think you can't control the midfield if you're trying to play a bit deep and you're worried about conceding goals, and that's the way you do it. I think Ben Wiles will be a different player if we have more possession. But when you're only getting 28%, what was it Saturday? It was quite low possession again, wasn't it? I don't think it 32% possession.
32.
So every midfielder in the Blackburn team is getting 2 opportunities to do something with it than our lot are. And then
I agree with that. I agree with what you're saying in terms of that. I accept he does a lot off the ball, and he does, he does transition quick. So, but I think, at Rotherham he was a dynamic midfielder where he could pull strings, he could create something, he could do a bit of magic, and he did that at Rotherham quite often. But I haven't personally seen that at the moment in the games I've watched. I'd like to see him go forward a bit more in terms of getting near the edge of the area, maybe having a couple of shots. Again, at Rotherham, he scored quite a number of goals, but we haven't seen any of that. And I accept that, in the formation and the sort of tactics that were, Moore's putting out, that doesn't help him. I fully understand that. It's just a shame for me that we've not been able to see the best from him. And I think that's, that's just down to the management and how he's being managed. But I do think it's a shame.
I don't think he's 100%, but then whose fault's that? If we've signed a player who isn't 100% fit, that's a club's fault. That's not the player's fault. And I think it's going to take him a bit of time to get up to speed. It was a big move for him away from Rotherham because that's all he's ever known. And that's a big adjustment. And people don't often think about that with players that, they're all human beings. And sometimes it takes a bit of time to get bedded into a new team when you've been somewhere for so long. And more often than not, I mean, our average possession, like I say, it's 37% possession, our average. We hardly see the ball. And when we do attack, we bypass the midfield. More often than not, because it's on the counter-attack. We do it just straight down the wings. So it's not really had much opportunity to really exert himself and create that much. I think we'll see the best of him next season.
I think that's an effect on all of them, though, Nick. This fact that we're having to do so much chasing, so much running back to our own goal and side to side and trying to block and trying to close down. It's no wonder the players flag towards the end of the games, and that's the opposite of somehow Warnock. We seem to get stronger, didn't we, towards the end of the game under Warnock? Yet under Moore, we actually start to look like, and maybe this is part of the problem. We're saying I'm saying that we look like we're happy to take a point after 80 minutes. Maybe the players are gone. Perhaps they're just manjaxed.
Yeah, well, we comment there about, sorry, it just flashed up and then it's gone again. But from Joe McClemont there, the players look tired after 60 minutes. And yeah, they do. I mean, when you don't have the ball, you're just chasing all the time. And I mean, how many injuries do we get as well? I mean, I've worked in A&Es with less injuries than this town side. I think, what is it now, 12? Have we got 12 injuries now?
It's 11.
Matos went off, didn't he, with it. So,
yeah.
And the problem is when we get injuries, we don't just get injuries for a week or two, do we? It's for 3 or 4 months more often than not.
Again, so Nick, I think, like Gaz is saying, I still think that's inherent with playing the system that we do, where every game is, like you say, they're going to chuck the bodies into the tackle every single game from the start to the finish.
What midfield would you all have if you could pick your midfield out of the players that we've got? What midfield would you have? So if we're all sort of saying that Hoggy needs to, not play every game, I would potentially play Matos in the Hoggy role. I'd have David Kasumu in midfield, and I'd also have Jack Radone. Because I don't think Jack suits a wing role.
That's mine as well, Steve. I'd go with a back four, and I really think whatever you've got, the back dictates what you play in the midfield. But I'd have 2 old midfields with a back four, but I'd have Matos and Kasumu where one can go, sense what the game's like, and you can go or you don't. But you've got that option, you've got that freedom. It looks like we've got fuck all freedom. Everyone's terrified of doing anything wrong because if they give a goal away, it looks like they're just going to get absolutely rollicked in training. That's how it looks to me on the sideline. Watching it, they look like they're sticking to the defensive roles because they know if they don't, they'll get in trouble. I'd have Matos and Kasumu. I'd have Radone in that central midfield in front of him, and then a width with Sorba and Karoma. But then it comes to your striker, doesn't it, really, as well? I think it's important. You've got to look at the entire kind of lineup to see what you'd have in your midfield. But with a back four, I think it's hard to look past Kasumu, Matos, and Radone. But then to be honest, Matos is raw. We don't know how he's going to go. To me, there's already been a bit of a drop-off. I didn't think he was great against Blackburn. Then you've got, obviously, Wiles that possibly could go in there and offer a little bit more going forward than in defence. if Matos isn't quite ready yet, which we're going to find out in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
It's all right. The thing is, like, I agree. And the only issue I've got with having one up top is, are we going to get enough players in the box? Because at the moment, the ball goes into the box and there's one guy in there, two guys, and if we play just one striker, I mean, yeah, in theory, the white players should cut in. You should have a midfielder running in, making late runs into the box. But we just don't seem to do it. We just don't get enough people in the box.
But they're not told to do it, Nick. That's the thing. Under the system that I think we all play, which is 4-3-3 by the sound of it, that's what you'd have. You'd have Radoni running in the box. You'd have a Kasumu running into the box, or a Matos, whichever. Like Ian says, one goes, one stays, and then you'd have, whoever's not crossing the ball, you'd have them running into the back stick. It's not difficult. I think that we're all, we're all intelligent here, where we understand how football works, but it doesn't seem like. No, well, Gaz has his own mind, but I'd like to think we're all intelligent, and I'm sure I've spoke to Gaz enough to know that he's an intelligent bloke. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the manager at Huddersfield Town Football Club is deploying the players in the best system possible, and I find it absolutely crazy that he doesn't know how to do that.
He's under big pressure. I mean, penny for Darren Moore's thoughts, to be honest, because he's under massive pressure, isn't he? Majority. I mean, you see all the polls on Twitter or X, whatever it's called. Every day there's a poll. Darren Moore out or in, and it's usually about 80% want him out, and I do feel sorry for him, but then we see, Kevin put another one of his updates out there on Twitter, and I'm going to just, I made a few notes from what he said, because I think there's been a real shift here in the, I think you picked up on this, Ian, the other week, but I think there's been a bit of a shift in the terminology used, and I'm just going to read out some of the quotes from it. I mean, he said, "I'm not happy with the outcome today. I love the players, but they were sloppy. They couldn't execute passes. We didn't pass very well at all and made mental mistakes, which ultimately cost us the match. Darren's a great guy, but I've spoken to other managers, not sure who, but although complimentary, saying our formation is too conservative. We have to make a change in how we put our formation out there. I have to make decisions, and we're up against the wall. I don't want to play QPR and lose. I'm really disappointed with the last two matches. I wanted to win both. I want us to be aggressive on the pitch. I don't want to be sitting here this time next week in a different spot." Guys, I mean, he doesn't mince his words. There's a lot in there. Are these helpful? Is he putting too much pressure here on the players? Because he singles out the players there and the manager. I mean, we don't normally see this from managers. I like how open he is, and it's nice to see that he's feeling it like we are. A lot of people would say otherwise and say, look, we shouldn't be saying these things. But I guess he put some money in. He's putting his money where his mouth is in terms of signing players. So, he's entitled, he can do what he wants. But is this helping him? Is it justified? To me, that reads like if we lose to QPR on Sunday, to me, the axe has to fall. Reading that, I don't know how you can interpret it any other way, to be honest, because otherwise, if we do lose and nothing changes, it's going to look a bit daft, isn't it? So, what do you guys think to that?
Like we said last time, to me, the change in conversation, the change in tone said everything. And that started a couple of weeks ago. And I think it's really important to understand season tickets go on sale pretty soon, I'm guessing. And when you can tell the players that has that gone off? Can you hear me?
No, still
yeah, you're back, mate. You're back.
It's just frozen on mine. But no, it's really important, I think, to understand the change of tone that he's had in the last few weeks, and there really is a massive difference. And I think it's pretty clear. I don't think you've got to be a genius. You don't have to be a genius like Gaz or like Steve, to be fair, under his own admission to work out what it means. And to me, I can understand it. He's only saying what most of us think. I don't feel like he's overstepped the mark there at all. I think it's transparency to a level that I kind of can accept. It might not be perfect, but I can understand why people are getting upset about it. It's kind of one in the middle, but realistically, the football's got to change, and we've got to beat QPR because the harder games are coming up. And if we don't take maximum points this weekend coming, it might be a long while until we can after the Sheffield Wednesday game. It's hard. It really is do or die. And he's, with using Carmichael David, Kevin seems to be very much on everything, doesn't he? And I think he understands. He plays the fans very, very well. He understands where we're at and what we're feeling. And I think he just gets it.
I think he now he's back on. He's on his way back to America, isn't he? So I guess that brings a question about whether we're going to see any more signings if he's not here. I do think when he gets back to the States, the video diaries will probably slow down in volume. So we're not going to see as many or as much content, I don't think. There's a couple of bits, Nick, that you didn't pick out, if you don't mind, which one was he said the best is yet to come. We're just running out of time when he was talking about the new signings, which was quite interesting. And he also talked about the fact he was disappointed losing the last two. And he'd rather have lost attacking, trying to win, than drawing, which is exactly what I said the other day, really. So, and he said, I think our fans feel the same. He's cranking up the pressure massively on Darren Moore. In his video after the Plymouth game, he talked about going on a run of 3 wins, which I took to mean Blackburn, QPR, and Sheffield Wednesday. Plenty of people on Twitter argued that wasn't what he said. Well, no, that isn't what he said. That's what he fucking meant. I can tell you that's what he meant. So, I think, is it helpful? Not really. Some people would say it's unprofessional. Some people say it's stuff that should be done behind the door. I love it, I think it's great. Honestly, I think it's box office. But he's putting himself. He's not only is he putting Darren and the whole football club under pressure, he's also putting himself under massive pressure now. That's the bit I don't think he's joined up in his own head. But actually, the pressure fundamentally, the responsibility sits with him. There's only one person responsible, and that's him. So yeah, we'll see. The other managers thing, by the way, Nick, I do wonder whether that means he's been talking to other managers.
Well, who are these other managers? That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Like, I don't disagree with anything he said, because it's what we're all thinking, innit? It's plain for all to see. The stats don't lie. The stats are atrocious. Like, it's 3 wins in 22 games. I mean, it's horrific, really. When you break it down, no matter what stat you pull out, it's not good enough. And I'm sure the manager, the players, I'm sure everybody knows it. He's not saying anything to me controversial. And I think people do need to be held to account, because we are just coasting here. We're happy to see it games 1-1. There's no desire to go and win the games, and it's not good enough. The fans deserve better. The club deserves better than that. And
so obviously I've met him on a couple of occasions now and interviewed him. And the thing I took from last night's diary was a couple of things. Well, quite a lot of things actually, Nick. What you've read out is that I do think he's probably spoken to other managers. Whether he meant to say that, I'm not so sure. Whether the emotion just ran with him when he's speaking, who knows? I think even if we draw against QPR, I think Moore's gone. I don't understand. I don't see how he said we must win. We have to win. That's his own words. So anything but a win must mean a change of manager. I can't see how Moore stays in a job if he doesn't win. I think, the thing we have to get into as psyche is that he's an American, and in American sports they have win or lose. They very rarely have a tie or draw or whatever. It doesn't really exist in American sport, or even if it does, it's a very sort of damp way to go out. And in British sport, obviously, that in particular football, if you have a draw, then you get 1 point, so it can be taken either way. And I don't think that's not in his psyche at all. And I think that's why he said, I'd rather play attacking football and lose than win. And I've had discussions with my mates over this weekend about what he said. And I agree with it. I'd rather us go hell for leather, have 13 shots and 7, 8, 9 on target, and we lose on a last minute penalty. But we've had a damn good go, and we've tried his hardest and we've created some chances and excited the crowd, then go what we've done over the last 2 games and not even try to go for the win, even against teams that, like Plymouth and Blackburn, as we've previously said, who are not the greatest of teams and that we could probably beat. So I actually agree with him on that. I think I agree with him on a lot of things. I agree that he's put himself under pressure. The other thing that we don't see is that this sort of way of communicating with fans in British football, and I think we're all a bit surprised by it. We're all a bit surprised of his honesty because we don't see it from any other club ever. I mean, you look at, I said the other week, would we rather have Kevin than what's going on at Reading? Well, you'd rather have what Kevin's doing, and I think he's honest, and I agree. People need to be held accountable. 3 wins at 22 is an absolute shambolic state, and the goals that we've conceded are shambolic, and the tactics are shambolic. So, to me, I think he's dead right, and I hope he continues. I agree with Gaz. They'll probably slow down on them now when he's back over there because he's probably going to concentrate on his Sacramento team and his businesses back in America as well. But I tell you what, there's no way he's going to take his eye off what's going on over here because he wants something for what his investment is. He believes he's put a bit of money now into the club. He's backed the manager in terms of the spending the money on signings to improve the squad. So he wants to see some urgent and positive reactions from that. And if he doesn't get it, then I think Moore's done for. And I don't agree with what some fans are saying that, it needs to be done in private. Well, that's just an old British thing of we do things quietly and behind closed doors. That's not the way Americans do things.
Well, it's like I say, it's not saying anything that none of us are already saying. It's, and everybody knows it. And the thing is, like, if he said nothing, fans would be moaning at that as well, Steve, because all the fans loved about Dean Hall was the communication. The closeness, the openness, and that's what we wanted, wasn't it, from a chairman, someone that communicates, that channel of, constant channel of communication, and that's exactly what we've got.
Exactly, and also people that say, "Well, hang on, he threw Warnock under a bus, and Warnock had the balls to stand up to him, and Moore doesn't have that." Well, that's just a mute point to me. What? Obviously, nobody agreed. I think if you ask 90% of the fans, 99% of them didn't agree with Warnock leaving. But that's been and gone. We're 22 games later.
It's different when you're winning games, Steve. It's different when you're winning games as well. Warnock's winning games.
Yeah.
Darren Moore isn't winning games. And the thing is, no one can sit here now and say Kevin's not gone out and put his hand in his pocket and brought in some players that have cost quite a bit. And like I've met him a couple of times and he kept saying budget and this and that, and we've got to level it up. We're spending a bit much. But all of a sudden, it seems he realizes right now that we definitely needed more. We needed more. We can't get championship status with what we had. And he's gone out and spent the money. We would look attractive to other managers at this point. You can't argue Darren Moore's win percentage shows that he's not done a poor job when it comes to results. He has. It's been terrible. And like you said, he's likely to be one of the worst starts a Town manager's had, right? That's a fact.
Yeah, Bath Overingham, yeah.
It won't be the worst, but it's bad. It is bad, right? It's without doubt a bad start, right? I think for me, the big thing this weekend is if he does remove Darren Moore after a negative performance at QPR, that's a big U-turn for Kevin Nagle. He's gone out and give Darren Moore huge plaudits when he brought him in, saying he's the guy, he's our guy, he's the man. He's given him a multi-year contract. At the time, we thought that was a bit strange because normally when it comes to football managers in England, when you bring them straight in, rolling contracts, and that's kind of how Town have done it for years, isn't it? Really, it's like, so if you need to change it, it's an easier thing. If he comes out and he admits that he got it wrong next weekend, if things don't go well, that's only another feather in Kevin Nagle's cap for me. I think it's another positive thing you can have in an owner. I still think the transparency he's showing is a level that is acceptable and still professional. I think Carmichael Dave asked him, Dave Count, whichever it is, he asked him all the right questions. And Kevin answers all the questions. And he doesn't answer it in a way that I feel like I'm getting duped. He answers it in a way that it just feels open and honest. And again, to a level where I think it's quite unfair to say he's speaking too much. I do. I think he's speaking just the right amount. And like I say, we'll see what it's like when he goes back to America. It could be different again. But it's clear he's not happy with what's going on on the field, and I've never heard a cut. Honestly, Kevin Nagle gives a better post-match conference than Darren Moore does. Listening to sloppy players and all that, I can listen to Kevin break down games all day long. It's quite interesting. And he kept referring to the Blackburn players being not crisp, but he said their passing was quite good, and we weren't as good on the ball. And that's quite a big thing. You don't really hear that. It's quite nice and refreshing. There's very few owners in English football that talk that way, but he seems to do it. And you say we could have got an owner that comes in that speaks about nothing. And when he has put the money in his pocket, like he has done with the signings he's brought in, your manager's got to deliver. And if he isn't delivering with what you've brought in, you have to go out and find somebody that will. And I think that's what the moment is, either this weekend or the game after, because it seems pretty clear that Nagle expects results now, because he said he's not he talked about athletes as well, didn't he? He said athletes adapt quickly to new systems, the professionals. And that was another thing. That's telling me that he's thinking, no, don't come with this excuse that you need a full pre-season or you need this time to amalgamate into the current setup. We need results now because we need to push up the table. And did he move on to the next 2 wins? Or he's dropped from, he wanted 3 wins in a row, guys. He's back down to 2 wins in a row now. Is that where we're at?
I think he wants 1 win in a row, doesn't he? I was just thinking, this change of attitude, Ian, was when he landed in the UK. It seems he seems to have spun off this. Moore's our man to he's our man right now. To he's got 3 wins out of 3, make it look different. To we have to win next week, no ifs, no buts. So he's moved quickly while he's been here. And I do wonder, you think there about, oh well, I'm not going to accept this whole players have got to settle in. You've got to have your thing. We've had a lot of injuries. Bear in mind, this guy, he's Jake and Mark Cartwright's man, right? I don't think Kevin Nagle appointed Darren Moore on a 3-year contract. Jake and Mark Cartwright have done that, and that's why I think, well, he's not been in the country. They've been able to go, well, you see, the thing is, and I think he's got here, and I think he's seen it for himself, and he's thought, I'm fucking having the wool pulled over my eyes here, boys. We need players because they may well have been saying to him, well, we don't need to sign 4 or 5, Kev. We just need to get our injuries back, and maybe 1, maybe 2. And I think he's come and realised that there's a lot to do. And I do wonder if that's part of it. I was watching a thing this morning with Tony Mowbray on. They went to Stoke, and Birmingham went to Stoke and won. And he was saying that people were saying before the game, the ideal scenario is you go to Stoke and you stop them, because Birmingham are struggling. You go to Stoke, you stop them playing, and then see if you can snap. He said, no, we came to win. We set up to win. We came to win. And that is a complete opposite of the mindset Darren Moore's had in the last 2 games. He knows Birmingham needed points to get themselves away from that danger area, and he set up to win, and guess what they came away with?
Gaz, you're 100%. I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. I think Darren was Mark Cartwright and Jacob Wood's man. And the reason I think that is because when Kevin first bought the club, I think he brought them in and he thought they will run the club for me on the day-to-day basis that they are. They will be my football knowledge, because obviously it's an area that, although I own my Sacramento team, British football is very different, and I've got to learn on the hop, and I need some football people to do that. And I just think that they've mucked it up. And I think exactly like you, the last 2 times, this big month that he's had, or 3 weeks, I think he's learned more than he has in the last 6 months. And I think he's decided, no, enough's enough. I'll put my money in my hand in my pocket, and we need to sort it out, because just his whole. I really like him, but just his whole attitude is the typical sort of, we need to get on, we need to sort stuff out, and I don't think he takes any prisoners when he has meetings. I just don't think he's like that. There's no way he's going to sit there and say, yeah, this is nice, this is good. I think he's one of these, what's the agenda? What do we need to sort, and how do we need to sort it? Because I'm paying you a lot of money to do it.
He's very much into legitimate leadership. You've got the means, you've got the opportunity, it's your responsibility. Yeah. You deliver it. And I like you, I like that. I think that works for me, by the way, because everybody knows behind the scenes that they're under. I think Cartwright Dave said it was a ton of pressure that everybody's under, and I think they are now. So Sunday's going to be massive, isn't it?
Massive. Absolutely massive. And look, I mean, the thing is, guys, I have zero confidence we're going to win that game. because I think QPR small blood, to be quite honest. They know a win will take them above us. We're away from home. Our away form is absolutely pitiful. I think at best we'll get a draw, another 1-1, but I think we will concede because we concede nearly every game, and we just don't score enough goals.
They'll be bouncing. Their fans will be bouncing, and it's a tight, stands are close to the pitch. Everything, you're right on top of the pitch at Loftus Road, aren't you? They'll be right up for it, and they actually played okay by all accounts on Saturday as well. Yeah. So, and Elliot's chair always seems to turn up against us as well, doesn't it? So you just see it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Do we want to lose?
You never want to lose, do you?
But but for the bigger,
there's plenty of Town fans that do, Steve.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. For the bigger picture of the club, there's two strands to this, isn't it? Has Darren Moore had enough, so he just throws the game and gets sacked, and gets his 3-year payout, or which obviously you wouldn't expect. You would expect him to have professional pride and want to continue, but he might be sick of the public utterances. You never know, do you? But and for us as supporters, there's a loss as bad as what a loss is for the points and the games coming up. Does it mean we can get somebody in who's actually a bit positive and wants to go win a game? I never want to see us lose, but I always think about the bigger picture.
Hey, we could be sat here we could be sat here next Sunday in a different spot, like Kevin's speaking of, because he might go at Darren Moore, put an attacking a team out. We've not seen one. Maybe it will work, but he's been forced into it. I cannot see how we don't go with a back four next week. We have to have a go. I can't remember a game that I'm actually looking forward to more, because it's a mid-season game. QPR, they've got a new manager bounce, haven't they? Gareth Ainsworth did quite a humorous job for everybody who wasn't a QPR fan. But they're doing all right now. They look okay. I know the form hasn't been. I think they started well when they replaced him, and then they had a bit of a drop in form. And they've obviously got it back together a little bit this weekend. But when does this kind of game happen? Where from listening to Kevin Nagle directly on social media that this weekend's massive, and it's a game that could go either way. We aren't a terrible team, but I still think now with the new players we've brought in, we're playing under such heavy constraints that Kevin's openly told Darren Moore that we don't want to play that way. That we can't play that way. Let's have a go. Anything could happen on Sunday. Anything could happen. I say I'm going with Gaz. I'll see you down there, Gaz. Last time we went to one of Sunderland, and that were pretty amazing, wasn't it? That came from absolutely nowhere, but that was a very different game in that we counter-attacked as best we could and stopped the passing lanes and did really well. I don't expect that game at all on Sunday. It's going to be very different. I think it's going to be very nervy. QPR will be looking at it as well. We're not only ones nervous going down to that. We are away, so there's more pressure. Well, maybe not now because of what's happened with the Nagle interview yesterday. But there's a lot of pressure on QPR to get something from that game because, yes, if they win, they go above us and out of the relegation zone on goal difference. But if we win, we're 6 points ahead of them then. It's a huge game, and I don't think any team will leave anything off the table. I just can't see us accepting a point. We've got a couple of messages, I think, from Sneaky Pete. I love his username. That's with 0 points on 6. So it's got to be QPR. If Moore goes, who do we want in next? Sorry, but there was another one. From Simon. Is a draw the ideal result on Sunday? It sounds awful, I know. DM gets the boot and QPR stay 3 behind. And I think, like I say, Steve, you were kind of referred to that earlier on. I understand it, but I really think we're going to have a go. I think I won't be sending the goalkeeper up in the last couple of minutes if we're drawing. I'm not saying that, but we have to try and dictate that game somewhat.
Back six, Ian. Back six. I'm telling you. I'm leaving. I'm telling you. You'll turn up, you two at QPR. You'll see team sheet. It'll be the same team as always, and it's a back six. I am telling you now.
Don't say that, Steve. It's a long drive down there.
I know.
I don't want to park, and I don't want. I probably can't have 2 beers. I'll have to drive home.
I don't want in LNER, so I'm fine, Ian. You know that.
I'm going to drive back after, so there'll be no beers for me. I'll have to have crap coffee. It'll be awful. I'll be getting milk in those little tiny sachets where you've got to get 4,000 of them to make it even slightly palatable. Honestly, if I turn up and there's a backfire, I don't know. I can't. You've triggered me. I'm triggered. Ian, now already. It's a week to go.
Ian, would you be shocked if you read the team sheet and it's a back six with Hoggy now? You're not going to drop Hoggy, is he? Even after one mistake. And I haven't seen a game where he's not played a back five yet. So...
He'll be the same team. I'll tell you now. He's played 5-3-2 every single game. So why is he gonna Why is it
Same
going to
team.
change now?
I think
Away
that's the
from home
easy change you
against
can
them.
make right. I think that's easy change you can make right now, so it looks like it's more aggressive. I think if he goes with that on Sunday, it does look more aggressive to everybody else. I think if you play with the back five, people will be questioning if there is no positive result. Why didn't you have a go? Whereas if he puts the back four in, at least he can't say he hasn't tried. It might not work. Maybe he's blamed for it when it collapses in on itself, if it does. But I think it still shows some sort of intent that we're going to have a go because he's been told to do it, as we all know.
Get ready to be disappointed.
Oh God, I expect QPR come out like a steam train. First 10 minutes, I think they'll try and get an early goal, and with our form, and the way we start games, I can see them getting one. To be quite honest, I think we'll get. I think it'll be another draw. I think it'll be another draw, and I fully expect it to be the same formation. I mean, I've been quite impressed at like the two strikers. I thought they did all right. Radulovic, I thought we were a bit unlucky really. He's probably. He had a brilliant touch to come inside and shot, and the keeper made a good save. I think his touch was just slightly too heavy, allowing the keeper to close it down. And Healey gave a really good pass through that Kasumu chance as well. I think we do have more potency in attack. I think we carry more of the threat, but they've got to be utilised. And I've seen nothing in the 22 games to suggest that anything's going to change. I mean, you talked about Kev coming over and seeing like for himself, but you go into the town ground and the atmosphere, and we're averaging. I said it a lot on the last pod. We're averaging 2 shots on target a game under Darren Moore. That's 1 shot on target every 45 minutes. I mean, bloody hell! Like, how can you get excited watching that? The atmosphere is shocking. And he just doesn't react, does it? That's another thing. Like, if he was reacting like, I'm going mental and like getting it, but he kind of just stands there. Like, you see the other manager at the water breaks and stuff, really getting into the players who are around it, showing them. And I've seen him times just kind of stood there and no one's really getting into each other. And maybe that's just his persona and the way that he does things, but it doesn't look good, does it? When you've got to win games and you've got to, and you're coming from a Warnock type character, it's just something else, isn't it? Something else that just
he has no career. Like he's just got nothing that binds us and the fans together. I mean, you said that you two went up to Sunderland. I don't know if you did, Nick, but the fact that and he's only had 3 wins. Let's remember, one of them were up at Sunderland, and he still didn't go over to celebrate with the fans. One of his only successes. I don't understand the mentality of the bloke. I can't, against 3-0 against Blackburn, the best win he's had, and he goes straight down the tunnel. I don't.
It's weird, isn't it? It's weird.
It's just him, though. That's him. And everybody's different. But I think certain coaches fit certain teams, and David Wagner were perfect for it. Dean Oil knew it. Working class, whatever. Got us amped up. And that's what we kind of need. And especially, like you said, we've said before, if you're not winning, you need to see, even Fotheringham, like you could tell he was going to at least have a go. He didn't look like he was ever going to be a good coach. But you could see him getting pissed off. And I don't know. I find that more acceptable than seeing somebody calm all the time. Now, Darren Moore's played, is it 600 professional games? I don't know how many professional games. He played a lot of professional games. He's been captain all over the place. He is a leader. And every time you see anybody speak about him, they say he's a great leader. He'd go through a wall for you. But it's just like you say, when the team is performing, the way he reacts with the fans just doesn't resonate well with Town fans. Not that it wouldn't at another team. Maybe somewhere else in English football it would. I don't know. It went to Sheffield Wednesday and West Brom. But with us, especially if you're losing, I think we're hard-working. Town fans like hard-working people. And that's not to say he isn't working hard. But when he carries himself in his very professional and kind of calm and chilled way, that's not that he isn't working hard, but it just appears that it doesn't affect him the same way as it affects us. I'm sure it does. I am sure it does. But when you don't visibly show it, football fans, they don't like it. And Town fans especially don't like it. We've seen it too many times since he's come in. And like I say, it's only been 22 games, but the amount of time at Leeds especially, that was after that game. And okay, there were loads of chanting Darren Moore out and Warnock's Barmy Army and all this kind of stuff. So I kind of get a bit of frustration there why you wouldn't do it. But
yeah,
it's just the fit, the personality fit to me isn't quite there. So you have to win games. And he isn't winning games, and he hasn't won games yet. So when your personality is the way you are, where his is, and we're not winning games, it's just going to be unpalatable for quite a lot of Town fans, as is evident on the polls, like you say, Nick, where 80% of people seem to be like, it's time for a change.
It's boring, isn't it? Like, the interviews are boring, the games are boring. the atmosphere's boring. I mean, honestly, like, I've been at Coroner's Courts with better atmosphere than at town matches. You know,
It wasn't this bad under Chris Powell.
It was shocking, mate. It's terrible, and I agree. I mean, Chris Powell was bad, wasn't it? But I tell you what, it's another level. This, and I mean, if he does go, and I honestly think it's when, unfortunately not if, but who would you have? Because there's not a lot out there. I mean, obviously, you know, Kev's must have got on the phone to us, you know. But if he thinks, you know, if Jose thinks that it's too big a job for him and he can't, you know, we're too big a club for him to take on, who else are we going to go for? Because I'm looking at the list of like who's available, and I don't know. I'm not getting overly excited with the options. People, you know, I mean, Steve Cooper, no, with no chance. You know,
it takes some balls out, wouldn't it?
Graham Potter, with more chance of Harry Potter than Graham Potter coming here. Forget it. We're not going to get that type of manager come here. Not unless we put millions of pounds at the door, and then all of a sudden everyone wants to come because it's a project that they really want to get. You know, money talks, done it, especially in football. But we're not going to put the sort of money that's going to tempt those managers to come to town. We can't because of FFP or whatever rubbish. So, who realistically can we go out and get, guys?
What, Paul Heckingbottom? Would that be unrealistic? We've gone out and spent a bit of money this window. Is that going to be the standard going forward? I don't think we will be. I don't think this is something we can get used to, bringing in 4 players on quite rumoured to be quite good undisclosed fees. But I think someone like that, I think they are there. There's only a certain amount of jobs as coaches abroad. We've done well with Corberán before, and obviously he was at Leeds. But we need something. If it goes wrong on Sunday, we need to find somebody, because Darren Moore ain't quite doing it for us at that point. So I don't know if there is anyone available, Nick, but you got to have a go, because it doesn't seem like the football it is at the moment. And Paul Heckingbottom's where I'd go. That's exactly where I'd be going. But again, is it realistic within our budget? I don't know. I didn't think Warnock was last year, but that seemed to work out. I don't think there'll be too much of a financial difference when it comes to Heckingbottom and Warnock. So maybe we can look at something like that. But I think that kind of coach you're after, aren't you? A proven championship coach who can motivate players and get a result.
I saw a Blue Terrier 19 saying he's seen Heckingbottom mentioned up and down as well, and I'm with you. I think he'd be an ideal fit for us. Lives fairly local, understands the area. You know, he's quite a switched on coach as well. Was he at Leeds United Academy for a long time? It was Leeds Academy for a long time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So, you know, the guy knows his way around in terms of coaching. Certainly when he's been at the Blades, he created a bit of a siege mentality, didn't he? It was them against the world and all of that, which is, you know, that's what Wagner did. And when we have our backs to the wall, that's usually when we're at our best. So I'd like Heckingbottom. I think some of the other names, yeah, Nathan Jones, I just can't abide the man. So he's an odious little rat in it. But what you can't deny is he look what he did with Luton. So, you know, his track record's as good as anybody else's, isn't it? It stands the test of time. And I'm sure if you met him, he'd tell you in the first 5 seconds of meeting him how great his record was. He strikes me as that kind of bloke. But yeah, I'd be all up for Ecky, but I guess it'd be all down to whether Big Kev would offer him the kind of money he wants to come.
So for me, I agree. Heckingbottom would be the ideal fit. I agree with Gaz that he's the type of manager. I think he would. You know, people are saying, well, his style's not the most exciting, but you never know what you can produce with our players. And I actually think he's got, you know, a bit of something about him. Imagine if we got Steve Cooper in, what would be his first press conference? It'd be like, oh no, did you regret, you know, beating us in the playoff final and getting sacked a couple of months, well, about a year later? Imagine it. That would be box office stuff, that wouldn't it? And I agree with Gaz as well. Like the one manager we can never employ after what he said about us is him. Is obviously the man from Luton. So, you know, I agree. Heckingbottom. I mean, my 3 would have been Cooper, Heckingbottom, and Rowett. I think the only thing about Rowett is, yes, people say he's boring. But, you know, he got Millwall into a good position, and I don't think Millwall's a million miles away from where we are either. And he's a sensible championship manager. I think John Eustace has done a decent job at Birmingham, but apart from that, he's been untried, untested. So they'd be the three for me: Rowett, Heckingbottom, and more unrealistic in Cooper.
Yeah,
I agree. Tony Mowbray would have been a great
Tony
shout.
Mowbray, yeah.
I'd have had him here.
Yeah. It's hard, isn't it? I mean, every manager's a gamble, I guess. Like you can't just go for track record because some managers fit certain clubs and sometimes it doesn't work out. I mean, John Eustace, I don't know, he did do a good job at Birmingham before Wayne came in and nearly single-handedly destroyed, took him down, took him from like 5th to just above relegation zone in such a short space of time. But you don't know, do you? I think the most likely on that list would be Heckingbottom, but maybe maybe it isn't someone out of work. Would you go for someone the league below, maybe poach someone up and coming? But then it's a risk, innit? You see, I don't know. We're assuming it's going to be someone out of work, but what if it isn't? What if they come and poach somebody from a promising
Steve
manager?
Evans.
Is there anyone promising down there? Or, yeah. To be honest, I don't know too much. I haven't looked too much at kind of League One managers, but
John Massinio's doing well at Portsmouth. He's a very good up and coming coach. And there's Ian Evett at Bolton? He's done fairly well. So I suppose they're the two that you probably look at from League One. But I don't think League One's where we want to be looking, to be honest.
No.
Well, I know. Are you going to attract an up and coming coach when you've been 7 managers off in 18 months?
Yeah.
Well, would you take a gamble?
I mean, we've got a manager that has success at getting promotion from League One, haven't we? Now, so
I could have got Sheffield Wednesday out of that league with that team. And I wouldn't have had to go through playoffs, Nick.
Or lose 4-0 in the first leg in the process, Gaz.
Yeah.
Right
then, guys. So I mean, we've covered a lot there, haven't we? I mean, it's going to be interesting on Sunday, isn't it? That's for sure. I think we'll round it off with we've already touched on the game. Let's have some predictions. Let's have some real positivity to finish the pod on. Unless anyone's got any other points they want to bring up before we finish. But what is our score predictions? Do you think Darren suddenly it's all going to click and he's going to get that win that's going to push us up, or do you think we're going to get absolutely steamrolled?
3-1 loss. That's what I'm going for. I think we'll lose 3-1.
I think it's going to be a long afternoon. I think the win for them on Saturday will have absolutely transformed. Can you imagine they'll be bouncing in training this week, won't they? Crowd will be up for it. The only way it'll work is if he absolutely throws a spanner in the works, changes the shape and really goes for it. We snatch an early goal and then anything could happen. Because if we do score first, then their fans are going to get nervous and they're going to get on the back. But I just can't see him being that adventurous. So I'm with you, Steve. I actually think we're going to be losing. It'll be a close one. I don't think we'll get battered. Might be a 2-1, I think, and we'll create 1 or 2 chances. But I'm struggling to see beyond a defeat again.
Look at you lot, it's pathetic, guys. No positivity. You're the problem. You guys are all the problem. You need to be there supporting them, guys, and you're thinking, we're going to get stuffed now.
I think 5-0 for you, Ian.
3-1. I reckon a 3-1 win. I think we'll get an early one, and then game will come away from him. I do. I think if we have a go, QPR will get nervous, and I think it'll open up for us. I just think with Town, this is us. This is Town. We never do what we're expected to do. We go to Sunderland and win. We do strange things. I think next week, knowing everything's on the line, I don't know why. Maybe it's just the inherent positivity within. Maybe it's just me, but I just feel like if we do have a go, they've got no tape on us. They don't know. They won't be able to prepare for us if we do something totally different. I think we're going to do okay. I think we've got enough with the new signings. I like Healey. Bojan is back to full fitness. I thought he looked pretty class yesterday. I thought he looked good on Saturday. Just moments that just class. And if we can just take possession a little bit more, play a bit further up the field, we will create chances. Because we did Saturday. We should have won that game. That game should have been ours, even though we didn't have the urgency. And the only reason we didn't win is because we didn't take quite straightforward chances. But I honestly think we're going to do all right this weekend. I don't think it's going to be. I think everyone's in for a bit of a surprise.
It all hinges on him changing the whole tactics, though, doesn't it, Ian? And he's
Oh,
not
it does,
gonna do
Steve. And
that.
if I get there and it's 5 at the back, I'll tweet my new score update right then.
Are you? If you get there on Saturday, are you probably going to just come out the ground and drive back up straight away and not even bother watching the game?
Get back in your car, mate. If it's
I don't know.
5 at the back,
I'll just sit.
I quite like the fact that a comment came in fairly shortly after your score prediction, asking if you were high. Which, to be honest, I think is a
I'm going to tell some of what you're drinking.
To be fair, behind me, I've been working on a mirror all day, right? There's loads of adhesive to get the wood stuck onto it. I could be maybe adhesive is just too much for me.
Why don't you plug the Instagram, the house Instagram, while you're at it, and everybody else can? Because I've watched it this afternoon in awe. You building that mirror, I have to be honest.
Oh, all right, you've seen it. Well, yeah, and it's still here drying, so I think that's probably where it's come from, Joel.
That must be it, mate.
I just think the game will be set up for us to do okay if we have a go. If we have a go. And how can you not have a go when your owner, your boss, is telling you to have a go? And I think that's what
he told him last time. He told him after Plymouth, and that's what we served up other day. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's...
This will show how high Ian is. So if we win 3-1, yeah, Ian, are you going to come on next week's podcast and with a banner of Darren Moore's a legend?
No, because I reckon we go downhill very quickly afterwards. I think we get the 3 points. I think we're 6 points ahead of QPR, and all of a sudden get back to negative football.
3-0 to Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh, don't say that is Town, isn't it? That's kind of the club we used to have. That one where you think, right, we've won, we're out of trouble now. Let's coast it, and then we never see a goal until March, and that's kind of that's what usually happens.
Yeah, I always start on the front foot because I think the players are going to want us behind them, aren't they? We're going to all need to go there and get something to win a game. We're going to have to all be on the same page. So I hope they start well. I hope they start on the front foot, and then we can all join in and try and get behind them, because I think we all want them to win, don't we? Nobody wants them to lose, but I just can't see it.
I can't take any more games without a win. I can't remember what winning feels like. Like, honestly, it's just going to feel weird. I mean, how many times have we scored 3 goals, killer once all season? I mean, we just don't.
That don't mean it's not going to happen, Nick. Then it's overdue, isn't it? It's overdue.
We don't score goals, though. We just don't. We just. Never mind DeSandro's. They need to go to shooting practice. That's what the players need. Never mind going there. They need to just get practice shooting. We just don't score enough. It's. I think 1-0.
Blackburn 3-0 though.
We did, but that was it. Do you know what I mean? That's it. Like, out of all season once, man, it's not good enough. I think QPR will score first. I think they'll come flying out the traps. I think we will get a goal back, probably from a set piece, because that's the only way we can really score. And then probably we're so defensive, we might just see it out as a 1-1. But it's not going to be enough. It ain't going to be enough. And I don't know. I really hope I'm wrong, but the stats don't lie.
This is a good question. So next weekend, Sunday evening, is Darren Moore our coach? Nick?
No.
Steve?
No.
Gaz?
No.
Well, I have faith in you, Darren. I think you can get it done.
I want him to succeed more than anything. Like, he's a nice guy, but it's not about being a nice guy. It's about results, and we're desperate here. Do you know what I mean? There's no one wants him to succeed more than me, but it's just not happening, is it? And I'm not seeing any evidence that things are improving.
Look at this. Tony's got my back. Since the Rotherham game, every 6 games we win, it's been 5. Destiny. That's all I need.
Nice. I like that.
Is Tony in the same room as you?
Yeah, maybe he is. He's just sat over there.
Is that Darren Moore? Is he just put another name up there? Is that his alias? Tony.
Somebody said, by the way, on a very reputable site that I think we all know, that apparently Nagel met Heckingbottom in Leeds at the Cut and Craft restaurant. Whether that's true or not, who knows?
He's got good taste in restaurants, then. That's all I'll say. That's where they met. Better than DeSandro's, that much I do know.
Yeah. He likes tattoo as well. I've only ever been in there once. It cost me a lot of money.
Oh yeah,
anyway.
it's not cheap in there.
I've only ever been in a tattoo once, and that was in Budapest, and it wasn't a restaurant.
Oh right, okay.
It was a good night though.
And on that No, fantastic note. I think we'll call it a day, shall we, guys? But listen, time will tell, won't it? We'll see. It's going to be interesting, if nothing else. And let's hope we get the win. But if we don't, then I think probably we can look forward to a new manager. But I mean, the winnable games are vastly running out. We've got a very difficult list of fixtures on the horizon. So whatever we're going to do, we're going to need to do it and quickly. Guys, thank you, Steve, Ian, Gaz. It's been a pleasure. Thank you all for listening. If you've liked it, give us a good review. Get your comments up. If you've liked it, we'll do more like this. It's been really good. It's been a good conversation, and let's hope we're talking about a win next time, eh? Take care, everyone, and yeah, see you all soon.